Hey, what's happening, family? It's your man, Mark Black. Welcome to the broadcast. Happy Hump Day to all of you. I hope that you are having a great week so far, right? By the way, Black man, thank you for the show, for the comment, fam. I really wanted to do a good show Saturday, and I thought that I thought that I hit it out the park on Saturday. It was a really good one, fam. And by the way, family, that's why I upload all of these. If you missed a live, they always go, re-up, right? So come back to the channel, check out some of my old broadcasts. As a matter of fact, I was just having a discussion with some family about a broadcast I did a while back called The Lash, where I talked about us putting the lash to America, right, rather than the other way around. So please make sure to check out a lot of my old content. I know some of it is long, some of it is entitled, and maybe titles you don't understand or whatever, but I always try to bring something important and salient. So please do that. Before we get started, as per usual, fam, sorry. Man. Oh boy. Sorry, y'all. But before we get started, fam, make sure to hit the thumbs, whether it's the like or the hater button, doesn't make me know, never mind, right? Everybody's opinion as far as like what Brother Black is on is all good, right? Make sure you share. Make sure that you take a look at the resources there that are in the description field of every video, right? Right there at the bottom of the video, there's links to reports, documents, resources. Thank you, Ms. Deanie. And the whole 9 yards, right? That'll help you to really get up on why I do what I do, why we should be doing what I'm doing, and so on and so forth, right? Also, too, fam, if you're interested in that sort of thing, you feel like my work deserves it, it's, something that brings something to you, please support your interest. There are links, a multitude of ways to provide material support just to keep, a brother's soul and body together, keep food in the house and so on and so forth. It's appreciated. Definitely not a requirement. I'm still going to broadcast whether you give a dime or not, but it's helpful and definitely appreciated. So before we continue, let me do the normal. Sister Shawnee's in the house. Adrian's in the house. Miss Denny's in the house. Alexis, what's up, sister? I see you. Happy Hump Day. Black Man 903, what it do? Right? Brother John, namaste to you. Let's see your unsunken one. There you go, fam. You ain't missed nothing. Agent Smith is in the house. Peace to you, fam. Cool Unc, I see you, fam. Welcome to the broadcast and happy Hump Day to you. All right. So as you come in, fam, just pop your name in the chat. Let us know you're here so we can show you some love and shout you out. All right. Now, today, fam, Darker Visions is definitely in the house. Greetings, Darker Visions. Welcome to the broadcast. Today, we're just going to have a conversation, fam. There's no teaching screen, no major heavy stuff. Just some stuff that I've been thinking about. There's been a lot of shit politically that's been going on in the last couple of weeks. And I wanted to kind of touch on some of it. Like we had the Iowa caucuses, which were a damn corrupt joke, right? You had yesterday New Hampshire, right? The New Hampshire primaries. and all this and that. So the Democrats are ramping up to try to see who the candidate is going to be on their side up against Trump. We watched Andrew Yang and the Yang gang get put down like the rabid dogs they were. Good riddance to bad fucking rubbish, right? They consistently, misrepresented our icon, Martin Luther King, in justification for their UBI, even though Martin Luther King, while he did come out for a guaranteed basic income or UBI, also understood the need primarily for reparations for us first, and for them to continue to disrespect us by putting their advocacy for a UBI over the need to do economic justice and provide restitution for the descendants of the enslaved in the United States was just, it was beyond the pale. It was outrageous. And so fuck them is what I say. And better luck next time, right? By the way, shout out to Engaging Black and my brother Double C's, my esteemed brother. Welcome to the broadcast, fam. Thank you, Black man. The UBI, Universal Basic Income, family. So with all this stuff that's going on politically, you guys know that I stay pretty active, right, in monitoring things that affect us politically. We did the broadcast talking about HR 5383, right, the immigration bill that, should it ever see the light of the day, is pretty damn bad for us. Some people agreed with me on that. Others thought I was being hyperbolic. They're entitled. I thought I presented the evidence, though, that suggests that this is something that we definitely need to be engaged in stopping before it even gets started. So, and I've also watched more of the political boo, right? Different, ethnic groups, different political demographic groups trying to boo us into supporting their pet candidate, whether it's Buttigieg or Sanders or Klobuchar or whatever, right? There's been more of the boo, right? Boo. You better. Thank you, Cease, man. I appreciate you, fam. So there's been that. Look, I want to share a story with you, right? Because I think that at this particular point, we're ready to understand the essence of this story. I titled today's broadcast, fam, as America is Pandora's Box. Now, there are those of you
showing some love.
That's right, fam. I appreciate you. There are those of you who think that you're familiar with the Pandora story, right? Pandora, she's out of her mind, curious, told not to open the box. She opened it anyway, etc. But there's more to the Pandora story than most of us realize, right? First of all, if you understand anything about Greek mythology, you understand that in Greek mythology, shout out to you, CJ Sadiq, welcome to the broadcast, fam. If you understand anything about Greek mythology, you understand that to the Greeks, their gods were basically overgrown people, right? With all of the flaws, foibles, drama, bullshit. Miss Denny coming in with the super chat. She said, "Happy Hump Day."
Happy Hump Day, fam. I promise to keep the background chatter to a minimum.
No, Miss Denny likes to laugh at some of the things that I say, and she's welcome to do so. But I also understand it might be, distracting to some of you. So I have asked the sister if she can to try and refrain, but she's sitting right here. So, fam, if you hear a little snicker or something in the background, Miss Denny's gonna try, but she does her thing, right? And I respect it. So, but thank you for the super chat, Miss Denny. I appreciate you. In Greek mythology, the gods were just basically eternal reflections of humanity. All right? The gods got jealous. The gods took revenge. The gods were assholes. They were capricious. right? One minute you think the gods is on your team, and then the next minute the gods is doing something to fuck you in the ass. No pun intended when you're dealing with the Greeks, right? So when we read the Pandora story, we can't read it understanding it just simply from our cultural milieu, right? We have to engage the ancient Greek culture and how they would have understood the story to truly get the essence of what the story is all about. Right? What up, Monty? Glad to see you, fam. Welcome to the broadcast. Brother Ken, I love her laugh too, right? I wish I could hear y'all laugh because I know y'all be getting it in sometimes when I be doing my broadcast here, you know. But so let's talk about the story and how it's appropriate for where we are today. Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar, in Greek mythology, there was a race of beings called the Titans, right? You probably heard of some of these Titans. Prometheus, right, was a Titan. And Prometheus especially is famous for his engagement and love of humanity. When gods created the humans, they kind of didn't really give a fuck about the humans. Yeah, they made them, but they kind of left them in the cold, dark, ignorant, hungry, so on and so forth, right? Prometheus saw this as an injustice to humanity. And so Prometheus went and stole fire, right? The primary technology of chemistry, of cooking, of you name it, and gave it to humanity. Thus, pissing off the gods, earning their ire. As a side note, Prometheus's punishment was to be chained to a stone and have a bird eat his liver every day, and then the next day his liver be refreshed so the bird can do it all over again. Never let it be said that them Greeks are not some imaginative motherfuckers. Anyway, I digress. In revenge for Prometheus elevating humanity, the gods decided to plan an exquisite revenge. The gods created Pandora. And Pandora was gifted by all of the gods. She was gifted with intelligence. She was gifted with guile. She was gifted with wisdom. She was gifted with beauty. She was gifted by the gods. As a matter of fact, fam, the name Pandora in Greek literally translates into English as all gifted or all gifts. Pandora was literally the bearer of all the gifts of the gods. She was also given one other gift. She was given a container. We refer to it as a box, but that's a myth. The term in Greek actually could mean a jar, but we know it was a container. And she was told not to open this container. And the gods gave her to another Titan. As a matter of fact, the brother of Prometheus, Epimetheus, as a gift. It makes one wonder why that old adage, beware the gifts of the gods, ever came to, you see what I'm saying? Like, you should be careful of gifts from gods, okay? Right? She was given to Epimetheus. Ultimately, as you all probably well know from the story, Pandora opened up the container. And in this container was all of the ills that plague mankind. Murder, injustice, theft, rapine, lies, drama, jealousy, envy, you name it. All of the bad shit that could possibly affect humanity was released in one fell swoop to affect us all forever and ever. Amen. Right? Now, one strange thing was that there was one creature left in the jar, in the container. Turns out that the only creature that wasn't released to plague humanity was hope. Now, I studied a little bit of Greek and stuff like that when I wanted to read the New Testament in Greek. So I studied Koine Greek, but I don't know much about ancient Greek all that much. However, I've done some study of ancient Greek. The word that we translate as hope could also be translated from the Greek to mean an expected positive outcome, but with no evidence. In other words, a hoped for expected positive outcome, but isn't necessarily the move. It's net, right? I know that seems like a lot of words to translate one. By the way, shout out to Sister Sherry. Shout out to Brother Tazaba. Shout out to August. Shalom to you, right? Welcome to the broadcast, fam. Shalom, Brother Tazaba. So, hope remained with everything else let out to run amok amongst us. And there's the story, essentially. Please, I encourage you to read it for yourself, right? I want you to check it out. By the way, peace to Warrior Scholar. Welcome to the broadcast. I was thinking about this. Original D, what's good, fam? Welcome to the broadcast. One love to you and welcome, welcome, welcome. I was thinking about this, fam, because I want us to understand the deeper underlying meaning of this story. See, because we've been sold a bill of goods when it comes to the whole Pandora story. See, we've been told, fam, that the fact that hope remains in the container is a good thing, right? That, hey, we have all these troubles, jealousy, envy, rage, revenge, murder, you name it. But we still got hope. I posit to you, fam, however, that this gift of the gods was designed to be the ultimate revenge on humanity. Do you think that these capricious bastards that call themselves gods would leave anything good in a revenge scenario, right? If the whole motive behind the creation of Pandora, the all-gifted one, right, knowing that she was likely to open up this container and release all of this onto humanity, do you think that they would have put anything in that container that would have been to our benefit, that would have been to our good? I want you to take a ride with me real quick. What if hope was the ultimate fuckery that the gods wanted to deliver on us? What if hope was the hammer blow? That deep introduction, man. Yeah, you can. You know what? I never thought about Pandora as bad. Pandora did what she was made to do. It is what it is, right? But what strikes me as strange is just how we could see this whole revenge play by the gods. And yet we assume that at the end, it worked out to our favor. That the gods who created us, according to the Greeks, and left us in the cold, the dark, the hunger, And it took essentially the Greek equivalent of a Satan to say, nah, let's give them a little bit of knowledge so they could do some shit, right? Who was then, by the way, punished. Why would you think that this revenge scenario would ever play out to our favor? Why would you think that hope, being the thing that remains, would mean that everything's all good? I want you to go with me for a second and let's examine the possibility that of all of the things that we face, and there are many, that hope is the worst. That's right, Unsunken One. Zeus was always about the fuckery. Always, like without fail. There's no gift you could imagine Zeus giving to humanity that would ever work out to humanity's favor. Let's ask a question, right? We're not assuming that the myth is true. We understand it as metaphor, fam. So follow me as we break down, we analyze this metaphor. Why would hope be the one thing that we're left with? See, here's the thing. There's a lot of us who are thinking like Sister Adrian. And she can't be faulted for thinking that way. She said, I think if we didn't have hope, our people wouldn't have survived because I believed we were supposed to die out. We're not supposed to be citizens here. I get that, right? I get that, right? When you say hope, right, you get this sense of enduring, right? Of believing that better is coming, right? And I get that. But here's some issues that I have with hope. If I and you were in a relationship, right? We're in a love relationship, right? We're lovers or spouse or whatever the case may be. And I'm abusive to you, all right? I'm either smacking you around or I'm calling you names. By the way, trigger warning. I apologize if I'm triggering anybody. We're good, fam, but you know what I'm talking about, right? So I'm mistreating you, okay? Now, in this particular scenario, shout out, by the way, to Miss Kawami, the beloved Miss Kawami. Welcome to the broadcast, sister. And by the way, shout out to Real Talk, too, as well. In this particular scenario, fam, you've got a couple or 3 or 4 different options on how you can respond to my mistreatment, right? But I can tell you for a certainty that there will be no response to my mistreatment as long as you do this one thing, as long as you have hope. As long as you say to yourself, I know that Mark is mistreating me. And I hope that he understands that he's doing me wrong. I hope that he sees that he's mistreating me and he changes his ways. I can guarantee you won't do shit. Because you see, family, hope gives you the feeling that you're doing something without actually having to do anything. When you have hope, hope is enough. Hope is enough. When you lack hope, That's when shit gets done. That's when shit gets done. Fam, I posit to you today as your brother and one who loves you that the worst thing that America has done to the descendants of the enslaved here has given us hope. We have faced every one of Pandora's horrors. Every single one. But because we hope, we still continue to face it. Now, what am I saying? What the fuck are you saying, Brother Black? You saying just because, man, I try to keep a positive attitude and I don't let this, racism / whiteism shit get me down and this, that, and the third, that I'm somehow, like fucking up? No, I'm not saying that, fam. But what I'm saying is that hope and 50 Cent won't even get you a fucking cup of coffee. What I'm saying is that your hope is not serving you in any good stead. There is a synonym for hope that is very, very commonly used amongst our people. Faith. Faith. What is faith? Well, if you ask a Christian, faith is the expectation of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Hoped for. The expectation of things hoped for. The evidence of things not seen. When you have faith, you don't need to see any good. You don't need to see anything that tells you that perhaps this situation may need to fucking change. No, because your faith sustains you. Your hope is all you need. Fam, hope being left behind in that container was the worst motherfucking premeditated act of revenge the gods could have ever done. Because had those horrors been released upon humanity, but we didn't have any hope, we would have marched on Mount Olympus and burnt that motherfucker to the ground. But we got hope. We got faith that everything's going to work out. That the arc of history is long, but it bends towards justice. No, it don't. No shade to my brother MLK, but no, it don't. He was right about the first part. The arc of history is long. But justice is something that you create, that you give birth to. Justice isn't something that's just going to come from you wishing and hoping and having faith that it'll come to be. I'm not down in anybody's religious faith. You guys know me better than that. But I'm asking you to understand that hope is a chain that chains us just as effectively into the status quo as anything else that could be done to us in this society. You don't have to take my word for it, though. You don't even have to take the ancient Greek myth of Pandora's word for it. Those of you who believe in the Bible, in the book of James, it said the same thing. You haven't been taught that that's what it means, but that's what it says. Faith without works is dead. I read it. It's there. James chapter 3. Faith without works is dead. You tell me you have faith. I show you my faith by what I do. Book of James, it's in there. Check it out for yourself. Paul said that there are three things that are of great importance: faith, hope, and charity. But the greatest of them is charity. I would argue, fam, that charity is what happens when you finally let go of hope. When you finally say, damn the faith, we got work to do. Charity, love, charis, love in action is what happens when you finally let go of hope. We have spent 400 years in this country. It's from 1619 to today. We are the most hopeful people in this entire country. Without fail. It is consistent. When you check poll after poll after poll, we, right, Black Americans, the descendants of the enslaved here, are always the most hopeful. Our sister, Dr. Leslie Branch, wrote that we have a paradoxical ebullience. We have this great optimism, but it's paradoxical in that we lack the evidence for any optimism at all. Since I'm here, peace, welcome to the broadcast. Sister Alma's in the house and Sister Toolbox, beloved, welcome. Happy Hump Day to all of you. We have a paradoxical ebullience. We have an optimism, a hope that is not grounded in any way by the evidence. But you see, family, it gets even worse than that. When you look back throughout history and you look at different liberation struggles, name me a one where the people were freed by simply hoping for freedom. Where ultimately somebody didn't have to infiltrate the system or pick up the sword or do something else, anything else, but had to do something. Be safe, Sister Toolbox. Point me to one liberation struggle where hope was all those people needed to be free. Just one. Somebody asked me recently the difference between enslavement and being a slave. What's the difference between saying that our ancestors were slaves and our ancestors were enslaved? What's the difference? The difference is that enslavement is a process that our ancestors resisted. Thus, they could not be slaves. Our ancestors were enslaved. They went through the process of enslavement, but they resisted that process at every turn. If it was no more than breaking a hoe, tearing up the cotton gin. Anything from that to burning down entire plantations. 250 documented slave uprisings, revolts, and insurrections. And those are just the ones they counted. From the very first slave to the very last one, our ancestors resisted. They were enslaved, but they were not slaves. There have been cultures on this planet where one can choose to be a slave. The ancient Hebrews used to be able to sell yourself into slavery. Constance, welcome to the broadcast. So also welcome to Unapologetically Black. What's happening, fam? That's right. Nat Turner wasn't a slave. He was an enslaved man. And when he was done being enslaved, he did what everybody would do once they get that hopeful shit out of their head. He resisted. He resisted. It puts a new spin on what Kanye was talking about slavery being a choice. Because for all of the hullabaloo, all of the rancor that Kanye took for that statement, he wasn't wrong. Our ancestors never chose to be slaves, which is why we have a problem. We take umbrage on their behalf with them being designated as slaves. They were enslaved, but they were not slaves. Because there have been peoples throughout history who have been able to contract to become slaves, who are able to voluntarily become slaves and chose to do it. Our ancestors fought like fucking cats and dogs against their enslavement. They weren't slaves. They didn't sign on for that project. At every turn, our ancestors resisted. They didn't have any hope in America changing its ways. They broke hoes and hammers. They tore up cotton gins. They killed chickens. They burnt down outbuildings. Hell, if they could do no more than piss on the fucking cotton and hope that it withered up and died, they resisted. They jumped off of ships. They killed the slavers. They resisted. They were not slaves. And if you were to ask our ancestors, if you could ask them, fam, if you could ask them, did they hope they could get free? I would argue they'd probably tell you no. They didn't hope for shit. They grabbed each other's hands, grabbed the tools around them, and put in the work. And if freedom was the outcome, all the better. And if it wasn't, we'll try it again the next time. We'll get it right the next time. Pandora's hope is the bane of Black American existence. And it is precisely the reason why we struggle so hard to get our people to do the needful. Because there are too many of us that are bearers of this paradoxical optimism, this ebullience that makes no fucking sense given the evidence. If our people were to lack hope tomorrow, there would be a sea change in how shit is done. A sea change. You wouldn't even recognize the people you're a part of. I guarantee it. When the colonists lost hope and King George, them motherfuckers fought a revolution to get off from under it. And you didn't need to have people running around admonishing them, giving them hope to do it. As soon as their hope disappeared, as soon as their faith disappeared in the beneficence of His Majesty King George, when the French lost its faith, when the French people lost their faith in the Bourbon monarchs, when they got tired of the upper class and nobility telling them, let them eat cake and so on and so forth, they broke out the motherfucking guillotines. See, fam, hope ensures that you never actually do anything to get what you need to get. I'm not making it up. I remember reading a story once of a sister. She was very faithful, right? Very religious, very spiritual sister. And she talked about one time she was hungry. And she went into a grocery store, fam. Now, mind you, the sister was broke at the time. She had no money. So she went into the grocery store to claim groceries in the name of Jesus. Hope. I'm not chiding her for that. I'm showing us just how deep the rabbit hole goes. We black folk hope in so much. We hope that we get this good ass job. We hope that we're able to finish our education. We hope that our kids come home and don't get killed by cops along the way. Hope, 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 hope. And yet, for all of this hope, for all of these positive vibes and all of this good energy we're sending out to the universe, what do we have to show for it? You ask black people, we the most positive folk in this country. Man, you know me, I try to keep things positive, you know. Fam, I believe that you get back what you put out. Meanwhile, everybody else believe they get what the fuck they take. And they let karma be karma. If there is such a thing, right? Nobody else worries about putting out good energy, you know, manifesting, you know, the goodness of the universe. The universe at best is neutral to your existence. And so many places in the universe are hostile to your life. You can't even fucking live there. You can't breathe. There's no water. You irradiated, fried. We put out so much fucking hope. Fam, we put out so much hope that we put out enough hope to sustain an entire nation. You don't believe me? Why is it that everybody wants to know what black people think about a particular situation or a circumstance? Because you notice that the mainstream media never really talks to us about what we want, but they always want to know what we think. There's this crazy situation going on, blase, skibbity, woo, woo. Let's ask Jerome. Jerome, what do you think about it? Because we have enough hope that everybody else feel like they can have hope. Well, you know, I know climate change is a real big thing, but I believe that we can all come together and we can fix it. See, Jerome believes we can all fix it. Everything's good. Nothing to see here. Racial justice is a problem, it seems, in America. Let's ask Shanae what she thinks about it. Shanae, well, you know, I'm not certain if we should be trying to make America, you know, pay for what happened to our ancestors. I believe we should just all move forward and just get along. Well, there you have it, folks. Shanae says, don't worry about restitution, reparations. Everything's all good. We're just all equal from now. She's hopeful that we can move forward from here. We got so much fucking bullshit hope that we even let other motherfuckers get hope. Thank you, by the way, August, for shouting out my Patreon. By the way, shout out to Sister Andrea and Hood Heroes. I see you. And Tiffany, I see you as well. Thank you. Thank you. Adrian said, or they're trying to find out if we're going to set it off. Nah. See, because one thing that I think the dominant society has finally come to understand about us is that everything is good as long as we still talking. Right? It's like, now I'm not saying every Black American is a hood Black American. So if this don't pertain to you, don't put the shoe on, right? But I'm talking to my fellow hood Black Americans, right? Those of us, the roses that grew up through the concretes in the projects, right? Or in the hood. In the hood, we all know for a certainty that as long as people are doing this back and forth, no hands is getting thrown. It's a law, fam. It's as good as a natural law. As long as two cats are woofing at each other, ain't nobody throwing no hands. Oh, there could be all sorts of like crazy shit going on back and forth. You fuck you bitch ass nigga. Man, nigga, I'll fuck you up. Long as they doing this, everything's gravy. It's all Gucci, fam. I promise you. See, they see us as aggressive when we're just having animated discussion. So as long as two brothers, two sisters, or a brother and a sister is going back and forth, words are being exchanged. As long as that's happening, fam, everything is Gucci. It's all good. You don't have to be afraid. You don't have to worry about nothing. When your ass should get scared is when somebody shuts up. When somebody stops talking, now we got a problem. As soon as you say, man, you know what? Fuck you, you hoe ass nigga, and the other dude don't respond, it's time to get ghosts. It's time for everybody to break camp. Because there's some shit about to go down. When the silence descends, fam, everybody, if you from the hood and you see some crazy shit going on, they're going, yeah. Don't be tripping. But as soon as one of them get quiet, hit the bricks. Bees your ass the fuck out, because it is about to go down. I think, though, that the dominant society, white America, our fellow citizens, I think they finally come to understand that about us. That as long as we're doing this, we're not really a threat to them. As long as we're in our respective little media corners, right, of the internet and so on and so forth, and we're yammering about the injustices, everything's Gucci. Everything's all gravy. It's all good. White folks ain't worried. Matter of fact, they'll come and ask us our opinions to encourage us to talk, because they know that black folk usually tend to talk when in the presence of white folks. It's a survival mechanism, right? You don't come through 246 years of enslavement and not answer the questions of just random white motherfuckers when they come up to you. That's something that's a part of our culture that we drag kicking and screaming off the plantation. When white folks ask you something, you start talking. So they've come to understand, fam, that as long as we're talking, everything is cool. So they'll put mics in our faces. They'll ask us our opinions, not because they necessarily give a damn, fam. Not necessarily because they gonna do anything different. It's not like we tell them about this and that and the third, right? No. They ask us to keep us talking. Because they figured out that as long as we're doing this, we're not doing this. We're not doing this. They know it. So when we retain this idea that we can hope our way out of this shit, that we hope that our fellow American citizens sees our humanity and honors our justice claim and sees our, our essential right to exist and this, that, and the third. And we hope that they're going to finally do right by us and this, that, and the third, right? And we have all these hopes in spite of 400 years of evidence that suggests that hope is the last motherfucking thing that we need to be having. Like, fam, look at the evidence. That's all you got to do is just look at the evidence. Hope is the last thing that you should be embracing. What is truly to be hoped for in our current circumstances? What could you actually hope for that you could reasonably expect to come to pass given our current circumstances here in the United States of America? I would love to know the answer to that. What is it that you're hoping for? What, that America is going to get religion? That there's going to be some sort of a revival of spirit across the nation that finally wakes them up to all the ill shit they've been doing to neighbors? Like, what the hell are you hoping for? Engaging Black said Black unity. Why are you hoping for that? Fam, I posted a tweet on Twitter today where I said that being born in America as a descendant of the enslaved is a capital offense. It's a capital crime, punishable by death. But you always have some nigger that's willing to clean up death row for a stay of execution. There's always somebody out here with hope, thinking that, okay, yeah, they executing this shit out of us. Maybe today they won't execute me. So they're willing to try to shuffle the goddamn deck chairs on the Titanic. They're willing to take a broom to death row. When in point of fact, we need to be trying to break out of death row. We need to be tearing this motherfucker up. Whether you want to take that literally or figuratively, that's up to you. But fam, hope is done. It should have never even been a thing to begin with. It was the biggest fucking revenge taken on Black folk. We'll take everything from them. We'll take their labor. We'll take their land, what little they get. We're going to take their intellectual property. We're going to take their culture and turn it into a mishmash, hodgepodge of maladaptive survival behavior and faith. We're going to do all this other shit to them. But we're going to leave them with hope, though. America is Pandora's box for Black Americans. And just like Pandora's hope was the last slap in the face to humanity by Zeus, the big kick in the teeth, our hope is the biggest kick in the goddamn teeth we could experience here in the United States of America. Our hope keeps us complacent. Our hope keeps us looking at the goddamn lack of evidence and saying that it's evidence. Like, fam, America is Pandora's box to the Black American descendants of the enslaved. It always has been, and it always will be. Before I open up the lines, fam, I just want to say a couple more things here. I do not want you to be possessed with depression, right? I don't want you to sit here and say, well, shit, we can't have hope. We can't have nothing. Niggas can't never have nothing. I don't want you to start doing that negative self-talk and fucking yourself up and psyching yourself out, right? Because I'm not leaving you without something to hang on to. I'm going to take away your hope. But what I'm going to leave you with is your anger. I'm taking away your hope. Fam, there's no more reason to be hoping anything in this motherfucker if you're a Black American. If you descend from the enslaved here in the United States of America, I can assure you there is nothing for you to hope for. Nothing. At best, you can expect neglect, ignorance. At worst, you can expect out and out antipathy to your interests and an attempt to eliminate you. You have no reason to hope for shit. But now with your anger, we can do something with that. We can do something with your anger, fam. Your anger just needs to be placed where it goes. We can work with that. You may not know everything there is to know about the nation in which we live. You may not understand all of the ramifications of this idea of white domination, whiteism, racism, white supremacy, whatever. You may not get all of that, right? You may not understand a lot about economics, about politics, and so on and so forth. I understand it. But if you have that little spark in you, that little voice of our ancestors, that when you think about what's happening around you, you get mad as fuck. We could do something with that. We can get you the guidance you need. We can get you the information and the data you need. We can help point you in the right direction. But your hope is killing us. All of these bootlicks trying to sweep up death row to make it a nicer, prettier place for us. This shit's killing us. The butter biscuit chasers trying to tell us that every day and in every way we're getting better and better. Fuck you. Where's your evidence? Black people haven't progressed since the 1950s. That's what the evidence says. Economically, socially, so on and so forth. We hit the pinnacle in the 50s. That was as good as it got. And we've been on a downward slope ever since. The political advocates that we've backed for the last 50 years have been fucking us stupid and telling us, hey, but we got you. We got to do the work. Like John said, we got to take that anger and use it as rocket fuel for our advocacy. And fam, another thing, that I want you to get out of your head on is I want you to get out of your head around respectability. You do understand that there is nothing in this country that will be to your benefit, that will be sanctioned, accepted, promoted, endorsed, valued by the United States of America. Nothing. 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 Fam, wear your after six clothing to work. Use your best erudition and speak the Queen's English. Get your PhD. Do whatever it is that you think you can do to show that you're not one of those niggers. Okay? And I can assure you that it will change nothing for you. There is no thing that you can do that will be respectable because you yourself are not respectable, right? You remember the opinion of Justice Taney in the Dred Scott decision, right? He said that no black man has any rights that any white man is bound to respect. Now, there are people that'll quote that and say that's still law, and who cares, right? I want you to understand the essence of it, because that attitude has never changed in the United States of America. It has never changed. We have nothing that America is bound to respect. So if you cannot earn their respect, right? If you cannot speak your way to respectability, you cannot dress your way to respectability, right? That no matter what it is that you engage in, they won't ultimately find an issue with it and with you. Then why the fuck are you worried about it? Why are you worried about what some other black person say or do? How they living, what they own? Why do you care? No matter how we do blackness for ourselves, it ain't never gonna be sanctioned. It ain't gonna never be someplace where they say, yep, these are the type of black people we've been waiting for. Nope, it'll never fucking happen. They'll scoop up their little pets that they can point to, you know, the exceptions, the outliers, the unicorns. They'll scoop up their unicorns just so they can highlight who they point to as the reason why they're doing what they do to us, and then they keep on doing what they do. So fam, if you cannot be respected, then why worry about being respected? If you cannot be respectable, then why be respectable? Why worry so much about the morality, the legality, and this, that, and the third of what it is that we need to do in this country? Why is it that we got to hear from you every reason why our plans won't work, as to instead of what can you do to help make our plans work? Hope is poison, and the sooner we get rid of it, the better off we're gonna be, fam. Change is scary, right? War is scary. Having to face a whole nation of people that are antithetical to your interests is scary. But courage isn't what you show when things are easy. Courage is what you show when things are hard, when they're scary. Right? Hope gave us Barack Hussein Obama. Ain't that a bitch? We got all the hope, and everybody else in America got the change. We got told, stop crying, stop complaining, take off your house shoes, put on your marching shoes, vote. What the fuck? Everybody else got the change. We got the hope. We got the hope. Fam, it's the biggest mind fuck. You're continuing to hope. You're hurting us by continuing to hope. You open the door for everybody to critique us because you hope. Don't believe me? How many of you on social media will see a black person come out in criticism of another black person and some white person will jump into the thread or in the mentions and start critiquing us too? Because your desire to protect your hope, to be respectable, to be acceptable, leaves the door open to fuck us over, right? To throw us under the bus. I'm just keeping it a buck, fam. We sit here and we engage in all this bullshit toward each other, never realizing that just leaves the door open for everybody else to do the same thing and get away with it. Because most of the time we think that anybody that says the same shit as us is an ally of ours, right? But somebody else might be critiquing your brother or sister with different fucking motives than you. You might be thinking that you're critiquing your brother and sister because you're trying to improve them, because you're trying to help them, because you're trying to uplift them. But these other motherfuckers come and critique your brother and sister because they want to cut you down. They want to point to your brother and sister as the reason why they fuck you. Y'all better wake the fuck up. Your hope is letting other people talk crazy about your people. Trying to be respectable. Trying to show off. When I'm not one of those niggers. You think they care? The taint is on you because of your lineage. Nothing else. You hail from us, you are us. You can't escape that no matter how you try. So quit trying to escape that. Get rid of your hope and you'll see that you don't need to escape anything. You don't need to run away from us. You don't need to act like you're other than us. When you get rid of hope, you stop waiting on a motherfucking candidate or a savior or anybody else to come and do something for you. When you get rid of hope, fam, we can use you. We need you. But we can't use you as long as you're hopeful. As long as you think that you can reform this shit. As long as you think you can shuffle the deck chairs on the Titanic. As long as you think sweeping death row is going to make sure that you don't get executed. As long as you think that way, we can't do shit with you. You're a hindrance to us. 425-296-1980, fam, is the number. Let me go ahead and pull up the phones here. I want to hear what you got to say. Fam, the thing is hope has been screwing us stupid. But every time a brother or a sister says something about we need to let go of hope, people get all in their fees about it. What you mean? Like, hope is what got our ancestors still? No, it didn't. Ass kickery, running for the North Star, breaking shit, burning shit, killing motherfuckers, doing whatever they had to is what got our ancestors through. Hope my ass. Our ancestors fought. Everywhere they went where they were enslaved, they fought. Hope is a joke. Our ancestors didn't hope for shit. Calling from 860, it's your man Mark Black. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hey, big brother Mark, it's me, bro, man. I'm calling in for the check-in.
What's good, fam? What's good, fam? The floor is yours, man. What you think about this hope shit, man?
I think hope is definitely very destructive, and especially it's destructive in how it's used in our community. I wouldn't X out hope completely, It's more like how it's administered in our community,
Run
how
it
it's been
down,
taught in
right?
our.
Explain your point,
And,
fam.
the guys of what I mean is like what you said, hoping and praying with no work, it doesn't mean anything. And I think people use that as an equator, as saying that, well, see, I am working, but because it's something that couldn't be measured. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would
So
agree
if you're
with you.
going around hoping like that, then it's something that can't be measurable and it can't be held accountable.
You know what, fam? I thought about that quite a bit because, see, hope, like as you said, is an intangible, right? It can't be measured. You can have boundless hope, right? But you know what? The thing is that I don't think that hope is useful at all. And I'll explain to you why, fam. Because if you think about it, right, knowing what we know about hope and the purpose that hope serves, when you start acting, you don't have hope anymore. You ever notice that? Like if you know how to build a house, you don't hope that the house get built. You put hammer to nail, right? Saw blade to wood, right? Measuring tape to plank, and you put the motherfucking house up, right? In other words, action eliminates the need for hope. Just like faith is dispelled by knowledge. When you know, you don't have
But
to have faith in a thing, right? Because you know.
I have a question.
Go ahead, fam.
I have a question. Would you think hope be used as shouldn't hope be used as more like a finished product after you see the results of the situation per se?
No,
It's
because
more like
the definition of hope means that you never see the finished product, right? Remember, we talked about hope and faith as a synonym, right? Faith never requires the finished product, right? When you talk to people who are of faith, and this is not to slight them, but this is one issue I have with people of faith. People will say, I have faith that people are going to be good and they're going to change their ways and this, that, and the third, right? But when you look at the lives of some of the motherfuckers that they have faith in, they've been foul, they stay foul, right? Faith doesn't require any evidence because if you were going off the evidence, you don't need faith. That's my whole point, right? Faith doesn't ever let you get to a point where you can look at the edifice you created and say, wow, look at what we've done. That's not what the purpose of hope or faith is. The purpose of hope and faith is to supposedly give you a vision of what the finished product will look like. But it says nothing about you doing anything to bring about that finished product, fam.
Wow, it sounds like the churches that I went to in the past where they have their faith ministry, they want to build this gigantic church to serve the needs of the community, and you never see it. You just see them collecting tithes.
Oh, but hold on a second. Hold
See,
on, because let's touch on that, fam. Let's touch on that, right?
Yeah.
A faith ministry. They said have faith that we're going to have this motherfucking church built and built. But notice they didn't have no problem with taking your offerings for that building fund either, right? So let's get this straight. If faith is so powerful, you should be able to just believe, and that building will just somehow appear ready for y'all to walk in and praise God through the roof. But that's not kind of how it works, is it? Right? Even though you got all the faith in the motherfucking world, you still have to actually put in something on that. You still actually have to do something, right? They say, well, Jesus said, if you have a faith the size of a mustard seed, you can tell a mountain to move and it will move, right? But Jesus also didn't know about front end loaders and shit back in his day. Now, did he? Because if I tell a mountain to move and I just stand there and believe it's going to move, I'm going to be waiting until I'm dead for that mountain to move. But if I say that mountain's going to get the fuck out of my way and I grab the dynamite and I grab my jackhammer and I grab my motherfucking front end loader and I grab, you see what I'm saying? And I grab my peoples, guess what? That mountain's moving and I don't have to have faith in it. I don't have to hope that the mountain's going to get out my way. I am going to make that mountain move.
I have an odd question, not
Ask
to
away,
sidebar
fam.
with it, but do you think that if you see the finished project, for example, if you had no faith hypothetically, and then you see the finished project, would a person actually require faith after they see the finished product, and then the cycle continues?
So
You get what I mean?
I get where you're coming from, but I think that what you're looking for is confidence, right? Because
Mm,
a lot of people say faith, but what they're actually looking for is confidence. Let me explain. Confidence is a part of a feedback loop, all right? How do you develop confidence, right? Because there are people
you gotta
like,
put in work. You gotta put in work, and
okay,
you gotta
right?
it's a respond. You gotta put in work, and you gotta see the feedback that you're getting from the community
Right,
that you're getting
right.
it
So
from.
let's say
That
that
boosts your.
you want to learn how to perfect your crossover, right? So you start putting in your work. You get your ball, you out there on the court, you working on your crossover, right? Now, as you work on your crossover and you see your skills developing, you might go out on the court and try to do your crossover. You might be successful, you might not, right? You might shatter somebody's ankles, you might not. But if you don't, what you do is you continue to work on your crossover, right? But as you progress, as you get your crossover game solid, you build up your confidence. But guess what? Your confidence is a feedback, it's a positive feedback of your competence. Competence. The
Mm.
more you do, the more confidence you have in your capability, which leads you to do more shit. Right?
And
So,
which
yeah,
shows that you have a track record, and that's something that can be
exactly. You have the
measurable, and something that can be
measurables.
can. Mm-hmm.
You have the measurables. But what faith is, or what hope is for us, is the equivalent of trying to fake it until we make it. And
And that's dangerous
you
too.
can't fake results. Right? We either are pressing for justice, right? We either are cleaving to each other as tribes people, brothers and sisters, right? We either are finding ways to fight and defeat our historic and current oppressors, or we aren't, right? So either we're doing that and we can
Or
see
we
that.
towing the line.
I'm sorry?
Mm-hmm. Or we towing the line.
Right. So
That's
we're either
like
doing that.
faith is using the is faith being used as a method to toe the line to whatever dominant society's demand is the question really.
Most
So
definitely.
I
I
would
mean,
it, so is it so it's so it would it, so I wouldn't go and really say faith is a problem. Again, I look at it as how it's being used in the community. Like I'm not really a faithful dude or a guy like that, but I understand the importance because of Nat Turner and because of like Harry Tubman and various other people that use that as a form of empowerment. See, I have no problem with religion if it's used in a form of empowerment.
fam, I hope that you understand. I'm not talking about
Mm.
religion per se, right? I respect all
Okay.
of my brothers and sisters' spiritual walks, their religious paths that they take, and so on and so forth. And I find a lot of things that benefit me, and I'm an atheist, right? I find a lot that benefits me in observing and paying attention and participating in my people's spiritual practices, their spiritual walks, and so on and so forth. So I'm not using what I'm saying to diminish that. What I'm saying is, however, is that I remember an old Christian woman told me once, she said, son, some people are so heavenly minded that they're of no earthly good, right? Those people
Mm.
who are hopeful, right, are putting off heaven on earth for us now that we could actually work for, right? That we can work our asses off to bring about for the hope of heaven in the hereafter. I mean, how sick is that? Just because you believe in the hereafter, right? You believe in the afterlife, and you know that you have the hope of heaven, right? Through salvation, whatever it is that your eschatology teaches you, okay? Just because you have that, there's no rule that says that you can't also try to have heaven here before you get there. Everybody else works towards trying to build their vision of heaven here, right? On earth as it is in heaven, so to speak, you dig? Right? Like if heaven's so great in heaven, then it should be damn fine for us to have it right here, right now, right? But you got some people who are so fucking faithful, so hopeful, that they'll neglect this. They'll neglect earth here, right? They'll neglect heaven here in the hope that they might have heaven when we die. Like, make that shit make sense. If heaven is good when we die,
It
then it's
it,
good
it
here
kind of
too.
well, it kind of explains the reason why we don't believe in things, or majority, or some of the people are not really into tangible situations. Like, because if you have that type of mindset, whew, that's mind blowing.
Well, here's the thing, fam. That type of mindset, though, requires action. It demands that you can no longer be fucking complacent and sit here and say, "Oh, well, they'll figure it out. They just don't understand what they're doing to us. They don't see the damage they're doing to our humanity, right? They don't understand that karma's a bitch, and she's gonna, the energy that you put out is the energy." Not see. You can't do that shit when you have this type of mentality, fam. When you embrace the mentality that if heaven is good and the hereafter is good right here, right now, if you don't embrace the mentality of anything that's worth having is worth me working my ass off for, right? If you don't understand and have that mentality, then you're satisfied with hope. Hope is a soothing balm, just like white acceptance, right? They love it when we stay hopeful. You know what? When we got black folk that cape for various politicians, even though these politicians won't even say our fucking name, right? When they got black people that are caping for various politicians, it pleases this country like nothing else, because then they know that we ain't on the point yet of really coming at their necks, right? When they see us saying, well, he ain't perfect, but Bernard Sanders really speaks to a lot of the issue. When they see Negroes that do that, they comfortable, they good, like they feel good about
They're
that.
doing I'm gonna speak on some of those Negroes that do kind of side with Bernie, because I got a couple that I know indirectly about that, and like I look at it as like how his policy is really going to reach us. And then, like, they don't even take Cornel West, what he said, into heart about what he said about socialism and stuff of that nature for the people of color and black people, not people of color, black folks. It doesn't equal out well for us. So knowing these type of things, I don't understand why people are so caping for Bernie.
Here's the thing that
And it's
messes
not
me
why.
up is that, remember I talked about that paradoxical ebullience, right? That paradoxical optimism that exists in us in spite of the evidence, right? I don't understand how
Mhm.
any black person believes just whole cloth with no questions, no doubts whatsoever in Bernard Sanders when we have a prime example of what America thinks of universal policies in Franklin Delano Roosevelt. The New Deal, right, was a great program for building up the middle class of America in a time when the whole damn world was in depression. But strangely enough, even though these programs were supposed to be universal, right, they were supposed to benefit all Americans. Strangely enough, we were still out of it. How? Well, look at Social Security. They set up Social Security that domestics and agricultural workers were excluded from Social Security. Well, at the time Social Security was manifested, right, when it was brought to bear, who do you think made up the predominant numbers of domestics and agricultural workers in the United States? Right?
Black folks.
You feel me? When they
Black,
set up the
yeah.
GI Bill and all this other bullshit, right? And our brothers went over there and they fought the motherfucking Germans, right? And they gave them motherfuckers hell over there, right? How was it that
Hmm.
that this was supposed to be a program for all veterans? That we still had brothers that weren't able to take advantage of their GI benefits.
That's all the way up to the Korean War and
My point
Vietnam War
my
too as
point
well.
is,
Yeah,
fam, is that let's stop acting like America hasn't found ways to do something for everybody except us. Right? That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that
oh,
you can't want to have health care for your children and maybe some student loan forgiveness if you're like me and you got some student loans and stuff like that. Like, I can appreciate that shit. I'm not stupid. But at the same
my
token,
thing is that yeah.
go ahead,
My
fam. Go
thing is, I
ahead.
look at Bernard. Oh yeah, my bad. My thing is, I look at Bernard's his policies and the guise of like just free everything for white folks or free reparations for white folks, and like what atrocities have they gone through? They already have all the money. They already have all the resources. So what? They can't afford Medicare. That's their own prerogative because they didn't take the necessary steps.
Yep.
So because they didn't take the necessary steps, because they're 65% of the population. Now we got to bend over backwards.
Yeah.
No, I'm not really feeling that.
Man, how the hell are we supposed to be sitting here caping for more cookies for them when they found ways, no matter what, to ensure that we're lucky if we get crumbs? Like, that's the part I don't get. It's not that these policies are necessarily bad or anything like that, but until we get our cookies, what the fuck are you talking about giving more cookies to everybody else for? Like, how does that even make sense to any thinking, rational black person, right? You know what I'm saying? They talk about Medicare for all. Like, we've never experienced medical apartheid, right? Like, we've never had them conduct medical experiments on us and deny us health care and shit like that. Didn't Dr. Charles Drew die from heart failure, even though he was like the pioneer of the first open heart surgery? Why? Because he couldn't get into a hospital because it was a white hospital or something like that, right? If I remember the story correctly. You feel me?
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Yeah, something of that sort.
You know what I'm saying? Like, this isn't crazy for us to, excuse me, fam. Sorry about that. It's not crazy for us to sit here and say, wait, hold on a second. Just because you saying it's universal don't mean I automatically accept that includes us. America's traditionally and historically found ways, right? Fam, by the way, I can only take one call at a time. So if you're calling in, you got to wait until... Go ahead, brother.
All right, I'll let it go. I'll let you go, man. Thank you for the love as always, man.
Oh, no, my pleasure, fam. Thank you so much for calling in, fam. I appreciate you. Peace.
You know, I'm going to always check in.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Calling from 347 is your man, Mark Black. What's your name, where you calling from, and what's on your mind?
My name is Sandra. I'm calling from New York.
Sister
and
Sandra.
All this injustice is on my mind.
I hear you, Sister Sandra. Let's talk about it, sister. By the way, I saw your comment. You asked, when are we physically going to start fighting back against the justice we face every day? And why did I block you on Twitter? Did I block you on Twitter?
Yes, you did. You blocked me on Twitter.
Okay, so...
Yes.
First
and
of
I don't know why. Maybe it's because I have a combative nature. You know, I'm not one to, you know, with the politics and stuff. I'm like, I'd rather fight than flight.
No, I hear you, sister. You know what? I can correct that. Make sure you remind me who you are on Twitter. I'll unblock you, right? Especially since you asked me about it. It was probably a misunderstanding, right? Like you said, we could have just had a give and, you know, take back and forth that maybe just didn't sit right. I don't usually block folk, right? So I'll unblock you because I love dialogue. But anyway, Sister Sandra, the floor is yours. What's up?
Okay, so I'm wondering, like, okay, you know, they had all the, like, the people that was fighting for us, like Martin Luther King and, you know, whoever. And it seems like since they got murdered, it's like African American, I don't know, it's like we afraid to defend ourselves physically. Granted, I know that there are probably, you know, America has their army and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They own most of the military. They have all of the police officers and stuff like that to try to keep us in line. But, I mean, how are you going to know if you're going to ever get further or, you know, sorry, I'm nervous.
No, sister, you're doing fine.
How are we going to know if we can ever get beyond this stuff that they're doing to us without defending ourselves? Sometimes, to me, talking just don't help.
I agree.
Marching, it doesn't help. All it does is wear down your feet, the soles of your shoes. You know, I personally knew Eric Gardner. He was a neighbor of mine, and I knew his daughter, Erica.
Damn.
You know, and her trying to defend her father when he was killed by that police officer, it really took a toll on her, and that was very unexpected.
I mean, our sister and our sister and our brother are gone from us. May they rest.
Yes. But, you know, like I'm saying, like marching to me is not helping us. It's making us look weak. It's making people not really take us seriously. Oh, they're going to march for a couple of weeks or a month or so, and then they're going to stop. And then, you know, life is just going to continue the way it is. Sometimes we're going to have to lose some people on both sides. That's
Sister,
what I feel.
I'm going to tell you straight up, all right? Now, I will be 100% honest with you. I don't usually tend to talk about this, not for the reasons that you might think. I don't tend to talk about this because I feel in a lot of ways like you, right? I do
Right.
believe that at some point there is going to have to be a commitment by us to our physical defense, right? In other words, fam, some bodies are going to have to hit the floor, right? That's just the way it
Right.
is. Now, here's the thing.
Right.
Here's the thing. There are people who will say, like what you just said, they have all the armies and they have, this, that, and the third, and all of that is true, right? So I'm not talking about a collective, massive, just open out war with America. That's something that we're probably guaranteed to lose at this particular point, right?
Right.
But
got to be realistic about that.
But let me ask you a question. How many brothers and sisters today still disavow, deny, and act like they wasn't on board with the program as demonstrated to us by brothers Christopher Dorner, Cosmo Septempera, and Micah X? Let's keep it a buck. Those are names you can't even usually mention in mixed black company. You can't say shout out to Micah X. You can't shout out brother Cosmo Septempera, also known as Gavin Long, right? You can't shout them out. You can't say their names, especially with the possibility of lifting them up as heroes or icons. Although a group of white folks can have a running gun battle in the middle of motherfucking Las Vegas on the strip, and it's all good. Right? I'm with you, sister, in that there are times when it's time for talking, right? When it's time for dialogue, it's time to engage, in chopping. But then there's a time for putting boot to ass. And we need to, but see, here's the problem. Hope comes into it again. We keep hoping that if we just yell out enough, burn down enough CVS's, right? Protest and so on and so forth. We keep hoping that if we just do this long enough, loud enough, that they're going to wake the fuck up. And the fact is
we've been doing this for many years now.
Right?
Many years. This has been going on since Martin Luther King,
Sister, it's
Malcolm
been going
X,
on
and
since
all the
1619. There's nothing about us protesting, marching, praying, this, that, and the third, that has given us any indication that the greater American populace is going to wake up one day and see that we're citizens too. That's never happened, and it's never going to happen. You can't expect them to do that because they have no interest in it. Look, this is one thing, sister, that I want to leave you with, right? Because I hear where your questions is coming from.
Yes, I'm a woman and I'm ready for war. I mean, I'm tired. I am literally tired of seeing what's going on, especially with the black men. I have a grandson. He's 10 years old.
Yeah.
At 10 years old, I'm telling my grandson how to act in the street, and I'm telling him the cops is not your friends.
Yep.
You're young. They see the cops and stuff like that. They wave at them like they wave to the firemen. As soon as you turn 14 years old, you could be coming from the store for your grandmother, and the cops is pulling you up against the wall and stuff. I shouldn't have to tell him that.
Let me tell you something, sister. I told my son, he'll be 12 this year. I told my son when he was 9, I said, you are a little black boy. You wasn't even supposed to be here, right? And so the fact that you are here is a threat to a lot of people who don't know you like I do, who don't love you like I do. And some of those people will wear uniforms and they will call themselves the police. I said, your job, if you ever are in a circumstance where you're in a situation with police, is to get the hell away from them and come to me. I don't give a damn how you got to get to me. get to me. I will handle it from there. I don't care if you're 8 to 80. If I'm still breathing, son, you get to me. I don't care how you have to do it. I don't care if you have to run. I don't care if you have to hit them. I don't care what you have to do. If they are putting your life in danger, your job is to get home to me. Because if somebody's going to die, we're going to make it cost them as much as we humanly possibly can. That's what I told my son. That's what I told my son. I don't want my son to die. I don't want him to be a victim of the motherfucking cops. But at the same token, my desire to not want to see him be shot down like a dog in the street by the cops is not going to stop them from trying to kill my son in the street like a dog. So his job is to get his ass home to his dad, where I can then put hand to steel, mouth to phone, or whatever else that I have to do to protect his life.
I understand.
You see what I'm saying?
I'm in a situation where in New York we have tough gun laws, so I can't even go out like somebody in the South and go and buy a gun to protect my family. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I can't do that.
I'm going to be honest with you. I think black people need to get the fuck out of New York. With them making the whole state basically a sanctuary state for illegals, handing out driver's licenses to anybody that'll show up like they candy, and this, that, and the third, black people going to find themselves with a hard road of motherfucking hoe in New York. In all of New York, not just the city, not just the boroughs. I'm talking about everywhere in New York. Upstate, you name it. Los Angeles.
I mean, somebody suggested that to me, and I was like, well, where am I supposed to go? I mean, my family's from Birmingham, Alabama, mostly, but I don't want to live in the South. I don't want to live in a state where the racism is so strong that you can cut it with a knife.
Sister, let me tell you something. Have you been in the South?
Yes, I went to school for 1 year when I was younger, I was 8 years old. And the first time I was in class, that was the first time anyone ever called me the N-word. And the bitch name was Becky, and she called me that in class. And I couldn't believe it. And, you know, being 8 years old, I'd never heard, even though I was from New York, I'm sure they had racism there too. But I was young. I've never heard that in my life until I went to Birmingham, Alabama, and a girl in class called me that. But she didn't get away with it, though. But
see, now, the reason why I asked, sister, is this. There's a lot of stories that we in the Midwest and in the Northeast and in the North hear about the South that, I'll be quite honest, is bullshit. I spent some time down south. I was in the Army. I was stationed down at Fort Gordon in Georgia, right? In Augusta. And I ain't gonna lie. I went through boot camp, right? I've shot guns. I've launched weapons most people never hear of. And I was scared to death to go down south. Let me tell you something. The South was cool, right? Sure, you got white folks that'll talk salty to you. But they also know that brothers and sisters down south ain't for the fuckery. Like, one thing I was shocked about is that our brothers and sisters down south is some radical motherfuckers. Like, they don't take that shit off of white folks down there for real, for real. They got entire cities where we predominate. Like, it's like not like, 40%, 50% of us. 90% of the city is us. And them niggas will tell you in a minute, let some old face, let some buckroots come over here talking crazy. They'll get dealt with, right? The South. There's a reason, sister, why they call it the dirty South. Because the South don't fuck around.
I hear you.
You feel me?
I hear, and I believe me, I have nothing against the South. Like I said, my family
but sister,
is from Birmingham, Alabama.
The reason why I was saying it, sister, is because don't get it twisted. The racism that we experience in like the Midwest and the North and this, that, and the third is worse to us because we thinking that, see, we look at these white motherfuckers and they'll come and eat at our places, right? And they'll come and kick it at our festivals, right? Like when we have, heritage days and parades and block parties and shit like, right? And they'll come and kick it with us. We think that means that everything's all gravy, right? But when they get into the ballot box, when they get into the machinery of the state governments, of the city governments and so on and so forth, they keep you from resources. They keep you from protection. A real racist motherfucker down south will tell you that you a nigga. But then they'll come and sell you grain. Or they'll come and buy something from you, right? They'll call you a
Right.
nigga, but then they'll come and have a beer with you, right? You know what I'm saying? To them, nigga, I'm not saying that they right, but I'm saying that to them, nigga is just, it's just some bullshit. It's just what they say, right? But no, these soft racists, right? Like I live in Washington State. Western Washington is
Okay.
supposedly a blue bastion, right? It's a liberal bastion. Man, you ain't seen racism until you done lived up here. You haven't seen racism until you lived up here with these liberal white folks. They are the absolute motherfucking worst. They'll smile in your face, fuck you, right? They'll kick it with you, party with you, fuck you, smoke with you, hang out with you. You know what I'm saying? This, that, and the third, while slitting your motherfucking throat for jobs, for housing, for you name it. They are the absolute worst. And the sick part about it is, sister, is that because we don't understand that soft racism still exists, right? We think that the racist, the word. So for us black folk, we think when you say racist, you mean the KKK, the neo-Nazis, the alt-right. That's bullshit.
I mean, anybody that's against black people trying to progress, and it could be in an underhanded way, what they call systematic racism. When I walk out my door to go to the corner store and I see a bunch of Arabs, that shit upsets me when I have to give my money to them. I'm talking about the corner store because I live on Staten Island. So I have to take the bus to the supermarket because I don't drive.
Yep.
And then a cab back. So, but if I want to buy, say, a dozen of eggs at the corner store, there's like 30 Arab stores. I mean, where's all the black-owned businesses at? You can't tell me that no black people don't want to own a store.
I'm gonna tell you, sister, there's your evidence right there. See, in places like New York, they talk about diversity. In places like Seattle, Tacoma, Portland, they talk about diversity, right? But when you look at them, everybody is getting to eat the cake except you.
Right.
Everybody's getting cake. In New York, if you're an immigrant, man, they got whole communities where you could go in and get set up. You straight, right? You don't have to worry about nothing and nobody, you dig? But when you, my black American sister, try to go into those same communities and maneuver and this, that, and the third, you get looked at funny. They talk crazy about you. They call you names, right? They pretend to do all these different things and shit, right? And they throw smoke at you. They throw shade at you. They deny you resources. Look, I would argue that I would much rather have interaction with Joe Blow, Joe Blow Morgan from Appalachia, who just loves to drop M-bombs every so often, but I go get my corn pone from, right? Then to have an interaction with, Chad or Becky, who smile in my face, but are denying the shit out of me, everything they think can get their hands on. They'll give it to Raheem. They'll give it to Juan. They'll give it to Ling Ling, but they won't give me shit. And they'll swear up and down they're not racist because they gave it to Juan, but because they gave it to Ling Ling, because they gave it to Raheem. You see what I'm saying? Nah, fuck that shit. Fuck that shit. I like my racists out in the open where the fuck I can see them, not standing behind me pretending they're my friend while they grabbing the dagger to stab me in the motherfucking back.
Yes, I understand, and I totally agree with that. I would rather know who I'm dealing with than not know.
But in the South, it's like that. In the South, they either fuck with you or they don't. Like white folks make it. That's the one thing I loved about the South. Down in the South, there's no ambiguity. You know the white folks that are, relatively cool white folks, and you know the white folks that are shady. Because the white folks that fucks with you. You don't ever hear no bullshit from them. They ain't sitting out here, looking to do dirt to you. And the ones that don't like you don't fuck with you. They got their own little enclaves, their own little areas, and you don't go there.
Yes, exactly.
You feel me?
Okay.
Right? So, sister, I mean, I can't tell you how to live your life, right? Obviously, if New York is where your heart is, right, then do whatever you can to make New York better for you. But in my humble opinion, I think that there is a lot of places that we as black folk, we either need to commit to taking over. So in other words, if we had a mass migration of brothers and sisters to New York that were your tribes people, we could then make some
Right.
moves. Or if that's not going to happen, then those of us who are in these places need to get the fuck out. Right? We need to start congregating more where we are and
Right.
start working. You know, see what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying, sister. I'm not telling you to just uproot. You know, if that's your home, that's your family, that's where your heart is,
Yeah,
then
I mean,
fight
I
for
like
it.
New York. I'm not saying Alabama's bad. I'm just not a country person. I'm not in for the rattlesnakes and
Shit,
the
girl,
ants, the red ants,
go
and
to
all
the
that stuff.
ATL. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Go to New Orleans, go to Birmingham. Those aren't like, you know, those aren't swamp areas, you know, where you fighting off alligators and shit. Those are cities.
Yeah. I understand.
You feel
Okay,
me?
so I just want to say to everybody, let's keep the fight going. I am ADOS. I'm with y'all all the way. Sometimes, you know, I tweet on Twitter, and I don't know, maybe I come off a little too aggressive, and they
Well,
don't
sister,
like it.
like
So.
I said, what's your handle on Twitter? I'll unblock you right now.
My handle is Delane Delana.
Let me go and do that right now before you even hang up the phone, so you'll know. Spell Delane for me. DEL.
ANE.
Mm-hmm.
Delana. DELANA.
Is that all one word?
No, it's two separate words.
Okay, so there's the underscore between, right?
No, it doesn't have an underscore.
Oh, okay. Give me a second here. Then what I will do then is this. I'll just search for that name. Because I don't, for some reason, oh, here we go. Let's see here. I don't have you blocked. Delana Delane?
Oh, you don't?
Nope, I don't.
Yeah. You know what? And Yvelle, Carnell, and Tone Talks blocked me too, and I was rooting for them.
Girl,
you know,
you
not that you
don't
can
feel
speak
bad
on
about
them, but
that. Don't feel bad about
was
that. You in
rooting
good
for them.
company.
I gave her praise. She's the one that got me into the politics. She taught me a lot listening to her because I didn't know what they call it now was locked out. I knew something was going on. I couldn't put my finger on it. But when I started listening to Yvette Carnell, it all came, it made sense.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
Something
I
I said
appreciate Yvette.
she didn't agree with, and she blocked me. And then when I mentioned on Tone's page that she blocked me, he blocked me. I'm like, what did I do wrong for these people to be blocking me?
I currently am not blocked by Yvette. I've been blocked by Tone. I'm not certain how long my unblocking from Yvette's going to be, but I appreciate the opportunity to still see what the sister tweets. I support them even though they blocked me. Like, sister, we got to understand something, and this is part of the reason.
And I don't have anything bad to say about her. I'm still not going to say anything bad. She's very intelligent. She taught me a lot. Tone is intelligent. He did the graphs and stuff like that. It all makes sense. I don't have anything bad to say about her. Maybe my way of, expressing my politics is not her way, which is the elite way. So maybe I don't coincide with what they represent or something like that. I don't know.
And I mean, that's really my only disagreement with Yvette and Tone is that I don't share their political strategy. I don't see their political strategy as one that to me is viable. But rather than shit on them, which I'm never going to do, I'm never going to shit on them, right? Rather than shit on them, I'm just going to do my own way, right? I'm going to go my own political way, right? And part of the reason, sister, why I created this channel, Black Outcast Media, is because I'm sick of the cancel bullshit amongst our people, right? Like, look, either we're tribes people, which means that we're fighting for justice, freedom, righteousness, peace, equity, parity for all of us, or we're not. And if we're not, then fuck you. I can do broadcasts about video games and, cars and shit, right? I don't have to be doing this stuff. But if we're going to be that, then let's be that. We all have something about us as black folk that if other black folk knew it about us, wouldn't like us. So Instead of us sitting here looking for ways to get rid of each other, to break the connections between each other, we need a space where we're looking to try to build those bridges to each other, where we, instead of canceling and blocking and this, that, and the third, we can dialogue and we can have a meeting of the mind. So, sister, I hope that you stay, become a member of the herd, the angry black sheep. We would love to have you. And it was a pleasure to talk to you, because I think that you're spot on. And keep asking those hard questions, because we need some people to ask some hard questions so we could get some hard motherfucking answers.
Right. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Ma'am.
And I listen to your videos. I love your content. I love intelligent people. I love when they speak the truth, when I'm learning from them. I love that. I listen to Professor Black Truth and the other one. I listen to all of them, except I don't listen to Tyreek, or what's his name.
Tariq is entertainment. He's what he is. You know what I'm saying? And I respect what he is, where he is. You know what I'm saying? That's me personally. But those people who love Tariq, I got love for them too. They my tribe's people. You know what I'm saying? So it's all gravy. All right, sister. Well, I hope you have a fantastic day. Don't hesitate to call in again. We would love to continue the dialogue, to continue the discussion.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Power to the people.
That's right.
Good night, everyone.
Great call from the sister. She asked a question that most of us is scared to even talk about, fam. What are we going to do in our actual defense? See, because here's the thing. Long as we got hope, we don't have to produce no results, right? As long as we hope we can convince these folk. Jacqueline, you're not blocked by me, so you got a friend in your man Mark Black, right? But as long as we keep asking the hard questions, eventually we're going to have to start answering these questions, right? Why are we still in 2020 putting cameras on shit instead of boots on shit? Like, why do I have to see another brother get beat up by the cops? You feel me? Calling from 909, it's your man Mark Black. What's your name, where you calling from, and what's on your mind?
This is Texas. I'm calling from California.
What's good, fam?
How you doing, fam?
Hey, another day down. You know what I'm saying? I'm still here, still giving them hell. What about you?
Good. I was just pondering on the on our tribe.
Yeah.
And I have a question.
Ask away.
You know, is there grounds for excommunications from the tribe?
I'm sorry, repeat your question, fam. I want to make sure I get it.
Is there grounds for excommunication from the tribe?
Good question.
Can any of our tribe members do something so heinous and so treasonous that it calls for excommunication?
Good question. If you'd like to stick around, we can have a discussion about it. Or if you got to go, I understand.
And how do we know, and how do we differentiate between somebody having honest debate and, bringing honest, communication and debate between treasonous behavior and behavior that calls for excommunication from the tribe?
Absolutely. So that's a fantastic question. Now, of course, I will never hold myself out to be the arbiter of what standards we need to have as a tribe. I think that that's a discussion that is long overdue, right? And I believe it's a discussion we as a collective need to be having, right? What constitutes proper tribal interaction and behavior between us, right? But if I had to conjecture, I think that the line should be drawn similar to where anyone else would draw it, right? And most people define treason as active engagement of any behavior that causes harm, injury, or death to the people of the group that they're affiliated with. Now, the reason why I say that should be probably a standard, if not the standard, is simply this. We talked about Kanye like he had two motherfucking heads when he said that shit about slavery was a choice, right? But when cooler heads prevail, when you actually break down the rhetoric, right, and the whole 9 yards, you can see kind of what he might have been talking about. This isn't to say that that's exactly what he meant, but what my point is that there are times when, out of ignorance, out of outrage or upset, and so on and so forth, that we will say or do things that work out to the detriment of either ourselves, because I believe that self-harm of yourself as my tribesmate, or as my tribes brother, right? My tribesman. You hurting yourself is, in a way, doing dirt to me. I need you and you need me, right? So I got to take care of myself and you got to take care of yourself so we can come together and take care of each other, right? But we went at his neck. And the fact is that if you look at Kanye's background, his history, Kanye has pretty much advocated for us. Has he done things that are questionable? Of course. He's rich.
Exactly.
I don't think no black person makes it to a certain degree of rich, because I won't say wealth, but income or richness in this society without doing some shady shit, right? There's an old saying, behind every great fortune is a great crime, right? So we know that Kanye ain't squeaky fucking clean, okay? But then again, though, we all have our little levels of not being squeaky clean, right? When you go into your office and instead of wearing your hair like you wear it, wearing the clothes like you wear your clothes and speaking, our language the way you speak it, you code switch, that ain't doing dirt. Putting on a front like you somebody you not for the acceptance of the people that you trying to fuck with. Right? Should we excommunicate you for code switching? I don't think so. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do to get the bag, right? So the reason why I say harm, injury, or death is because those are things that we can't come back from. If you say something stupid, fam.
I think the deliberate action.
Right. No, that's what but I did say that. I said deliberate action.
You can do harm, injury, or death, but not, because things can happen.
Yeah, absolutely, fam.
Deliberate, intentional action.
If you say something stupid and some white folks clown us on it, we're going to give you a little smoke, right? You're gonna get what you got coming to you, but you're not thrown out of the tribe. That don't make sense. We need you. We're like, fam, you was out of pocket for that one, man. Look at this bullshit, right? You know what I'm saying? We're going, you dig, right? But if you are deliberately working against our interests to cause harm to injure, or to cause death to us, fuck you. You get whatever, you get what anybody else in that circumstance would get. And that's real talk.
Yeah, I agree.
Now that's my opinion, fam. That's my opinion. My opinion is that even that bullshit that Kanye said doesn't necessarily warrant. Now, does this mean that we should just give Kanye carte blanche? Nah.
No.
He needs his ass chewed sometimes, right? These bootlicks, we need to be coming at their necks, but we also need to be coming at their necks in a way that tries to bring them back into the fold, not to push them out. Do you understand where I'm coming from?
Right.
Like, there's a way that we interact with coons and bootlicks that could be beneficial, but there's also a way that we interact with them that could be detrimental. Let me explain where I'm coming from. You familiar with the story of the 300, right? The 300 Spartans at Thermopylae, right? Okay, right? Movie 300, all that shit. Okay, right? They was kicking ass and taking names, fucking the Persians up, all of that. Now, never mind the fact that there was about 1,500 other Greeks, Mycenaeans and all, whatever. The 300 Spartans, okay. Now, they was kicking ass and taking names. They was handed Xerxes and his people they ass on a platter. Who fucked them? How did they get done up?
By their own.
They got done up by Ephialtes. And how did they get done up by Ephialtes? Well, it's simple. Ephialtes said, hey, I'm a Spartan. I want to come and fight alongside of y'all. But Ephialtes was different. Right. Ephialtes didn't look like the other Spartans. He wasn't necessarily trained like the other Spartans. He had a heart of a Spartan. But because he wasn't quite the Spartan ideal, the Spartan norm, they said, nah, we can't really fuck with you like that, Ephialtes. And Ephialtes sold them out and got all of them killed. You feel me?
Right.
Right? Every black person that we outcast, that we reject with you know what I'm saying, without cause, is a potential Ephialtes, right? Because who you reject today could be the one that aids our enemies in stabbing us in the back.
Yeah, you give something to your enemies to use against you.
Exactly. Like, why the hell would you do that? Okay, now,
Right.
I'm about to be controversial here, so just ride with me. How many black folk have we outcasted who are LGBT? How many black folk have we outcasted who might have mates that are not black people? Right?
A lot.
See, the thing is we can say this and intellectually embrace the idea, right? Until it comes time for praxis, right? Meaning to actually do it, right? We can understand intellectually that rejecting other black people is a potential weapon to be used against us until we actually have to stand on that, right? Until we actually have to accept black people who live blackness in a way we don't understand or we don't like or we don't agree with.
Right.
Then we got a motherfucking problem, you feel me? Right? Like, it amazes me how many people are pro-black but. Did you hear what I just said, fam? Pro-black but. Yeah, man, I love my people, man. I'm down for my people, man. I'm in for a penny, in for a pound. But them niggas, right? Oh, man, you know what? Our people are the best people on the planet. We're the baddest motherfuckers that ever lived. But I don't know about them cats over there. Right? How do we trust them motherfuckers? You see what I'm saying? That's I mean, real talk. How do you claim to be for me, yet you're throwing away potential human resources that we can use? People are saying in the chat, fuck the bootlicks, fuck the traitors. Trust me, I get it. I give them fire, shade, and smoke too. Somebody said Don Lemon's a fuck ass. I get it, right? But I also remember the same Don Lemon who, when we was going at Kamala Harris, because they was trying to say that we were saying she wasn't black, Don Lemon stood there on national motherfucking TV and said, wait a minute, nobody's saying she's not black. What they're saying is that she's not African American. She's not a black American. He told this bitch, he said, Jamaica's not America. Like, Don Lemon was like, wait a minute, y'all can say whatever the hell y'all like, but the story is X. Like, see, the thing is, fam, is I'm not saying we need to give bootlicks, coons, right, buck dancers the run of the motherfucking house, right? We can't do that. They not trusted like that, right? But at the same token, there has to be a path to redemption. And again, I recognize that is a controversial statement I just made. I got niggas right now that's plotting to cancel me just because I said that. Okay, and I'm telling you, I feel you. But in this particular matter, this is where the rubber meets the road. This is where theory meets praxis. You feel me?
Yeah.
But that was a great, question,
I agree
brother.
with you, because it has to be some sort of, discernment. You know what I'm saying? And if somebody is, you gonna have some dumb shit that people say, and the handkerchief heads and the coons are gonna talk and this and that and blah blah blah. We get all that, but you can't just excommunicate, because excommunication is that's like a last resort. And black folks use that as a first resort. You know what I'm saying?
I agree. Now, see, here's the thing. I understand why we do it. I just don't see why we need to continue to do it. I get why we do it, right? We do it because, traditionally speaking, black people don't get second chances, right? No matter what we do, your first move as a black person needs to be your best move, because if you fuck up, it could literally mean you spend the rest of your life as the living dead, right? So we're really risk adverse. We don't like to take risk. We would rather excommunicate a motherfucker and not even have the chance that they might fuck us over, right? Than to be nuanced to say, okay, yeah, they on some shady bullshit right now, but I'm gonna see if I can reach these motherfuckers. I'm not gonna give them the run of the house, But I'm gonna see if we can get them back into the fold. Because I can tell you this much.
Right.
You can say whatever you want about Don Lemon, but what a resource would he be if he was all for us? If he was fully on board with our tribal project, what a motherfucking powerhouse he could be.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? Now, how many of us is thinking about Don Lemon as a resource?
And think about it. Let's just say, okay, we get 1 out of 10. I'm okay with that. You know what I'm saying? We may not get. You're not gonna get all of them. You know what I mean?
We are never going to get all of them. See, this the thing.
But if you get one Don Lemon out of 10, then hell, fuck it.
Let me tell you something. This is the thing. We have to look at numbers as something that we don't look. I tell people all the time, nobody believes me when I say this. When you look at the American Revolution, right? I'm talking the Revolutionary War here in the United States, okay? Against the colonists versus King George and the British, okay? Do you know what the percentage of colonists were that were active combatants against the British Army? Do you know the number, the percentage of colonists who actually signed up to fight in the Continental Army? They were active combatants. What's the number in your? Take a guess at it.
10%?
No, sir. Less.
Wow.
Less. You want to try again?
3%?
You got it on the barrelhead. 3% of the colonial population were active combatants against the British. 3%. That's it.
Wow.
That's it. See, the thing is that numbers with the proper motivation is what gets shit done. You don't necessarily have to have everybody on board. See, here's how it was in America, or I should say the country that would become America, the land that would become America. You had a group of people that were for the colonies. They said, fuck King George and everything about him. We ain't with it. And we'll fight and bleed if we have to get rid of him. Then you had some who were like, God save the king. These people are cracked. I'm done. I'm fighting for my king. Okay? But the vast majority of the colonists simply waited to see who was going to win.
Right.
Some of them gave some aid to the colonial army, right? Some of them, backed up the British, right, and let them hang out and stay, and this, that, and the third. But the overwhelming majority of colonists was just like, wow, this is some fuckery. I hope it's over soon. They didn't get on board with fighting on one side or the other one. You feel me? So the thing is that we have to look at this whole black unity thing for what it is. If we can get enough brothers and sisters who are our tribes people that are on board this project, we can take off. Right. But we don't need everybody. We want everybody. Don't get me wrong. I want all my tribes people, and I'm fighting for all of them. Okay. I'm even fighting for Don Lemon. Okay. I want freedom, justice, equity, all that for him too. Okay. But do we need everybody to pull this off? No, we don't. And to expect that we can't do anything of effect until we have everybody is a logical fallacy. It's never going to happen.
Right.
It's never going to happen. So we need to stop with the flawed thinking that demands that we get unanimity from everybody anyway. Because remember, unity does not necessarily require unanimity, right? You don't think exactly the same way as I do, fam, right? Not in everything. There's some things that I think that you would be like, that nigga Marcus crack. What the fuck is that nigga on, right? You would be like, oh, no. Right? So you don't agree with me on everything, right? But our unity, right? Our capability to be able to maneuver for our collective benefit does not require that we have unanimity. It only requires that we understand that we share a common will, a common interest, and that we're willing to work toward that common interest. As long as we have that, fam, do blackness however the fuck you do it. I don't care how you do it. Just do it with me. That's all I'm asking. Like, this should not be that goddamn difficult, right? But if you start trying to demand unanimity from people, all you're going to do is create rancor. You're just going to create more problems than you solve.
And confusion.
Exactly. Because what specifically are we supposed to unify around? It's not a trope for a reason that trying to get niggas to do something together is like trying to herd cats. Because there's as many different ways to do shit as there are black people, right? So expecting complete unanimity is a losing proposition right from the get-go. It's never going to happen. But we don't need unanimity. What we need is understanding our common interests, our common lineage, right? Our common heritage, and that we fight for a common goal. And if we can do that, boom, that's all we need. That's all we need. And we talk about some of these bootlicks and this, that, and the third out there, or whatever the case may be. And like Black Man said, it requires you to compromise. Don Lemon don't. When have we asked them? Most black people that watch CNN canceled Don Lemon long time ago. We don't even fuck with Don. We call him pejoratives like Donna Lemon and so on and so forth, right?
Don Lemonade and all that
Don
bullshit.
Lemonade. We ain't gave no fucks about Don Lemon since Ferguson, okay? Let's keep it a full ass buck. So Don Lemon could have evolved on some shit, right? He could have experienced some stuff since 2013, 2014 that maybe got him thinking in a different way. But if he's not engaging with nobody who said, hey, Don, now that you've had a chance to see things from this side and from that side and so on and so forth, where you at, fam? Right? We don't have to throw open the barn door and let Don Lemon into the barbecue, but somebody should be reaching out to the man and saying, fam, where you at?
Right.
Where you at, fam? You still on that fuckery? Okay, you stay your ass over there, right? You gone. You good. We see you, right? But if there's been some evolution, if there's been some changes and some shit, how would we know if we ain't engaging with the motherfuckers? That's the problem with canceling people. When you cancel them, they're canceled. You're not engaging with them anymore. You're not asking any questions about them. You're not wondering what's going on with them or how they living or what they know. And you're not looking for that information either. So you're missing key data points that you can't use to do anything with. I want to know I want to know even what my enemies are thinking, fam.
Yeah, and it's like being the proximity that he has to that, to the media. He could be a useful, member of our tribe.
Absolutely, he don't have to agree 100% with everything we own.
Right.
But if he understands that justice is due us, that we're making good points, and he's able to buttress that at key points, that's all I need from Don Lemon. You feel me?
Yeah, I'm the same way. Because if we look for this ideological purity, we're going to end up, just going around in circles.
Well, the fact is that we are just going around in circles. Fam, we are just going around in circles.
Everybody. Like everybody, you're going to cancel everybody, and everybody's going to be like, damn, what do I do?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like a circular firing squad sometimes amongst our people. We'll get in a circle, point our guns in the middle, and pull the trigger. Then we wonder why bodies is dropping on the other side of the circle. Nigga, you killing them.
Right.
Right? Like, stop. I'm not saying, look, for the people in the chat, and fam, I'm going to let you go because I'm going to start to wrap this up here pretty soon, but I appreciate you calling in, fam, and thank you so much, man, for your contribution to the broadcast. No problem. Peace. Fam, for those of you in the chat who's screaming, death to the bootlicks and thus always to tyrants and this, that, and the third, trust me when I tell you that your man Mark Black gets it. I get it, fam. But here's the thing. I'm not asking you to capitulate to bootlicks. I'm not asking you to agree with bootlicks. We know they're bootlicks. That's why we call them bootlicks, right? Call a spade a spade. No pun intended. Right? Okay. But here's the thing. Fam. Shit, man. I don't know. I don't know. Because every time I bring up this subject, right? The thing is that there are too many people They just don't want to see any type of nuance. They want shit to be black and white. And I don't deal with black and white linear ass thinking. And I'm sorry if that offends some of you, but that's just not your boy. There is shades to this shit. And it ain't compromised to understand that even when okay, fam, you've had people that have been willing to sell us out. And they've gotten what they got coming to them. And they're going to get what they get coming to them. Nobody's talking about traitors. But what we are talking about is that there has to be a path to redemption. Give bootlicks their due. They deserve the smoke. Give it to them. All right? I'm not telling you to kiss Don Lemon ass or Jesse Lee Peterson ass or anybody else ass. No way. But what I'm saying is, fam, is that understand that every outcast you create is a weapon you hand to your enemies. And if we're at war, why would you go around laying down weapons for your enemies to pick up? So even if we hold to the war analogy, which I think is apt, why would you lay down random weapons for your enemies to pick up that don't make sense? Right? You got a weapon that ain't firing right. You fix the motherfucker. You find a way to make it work. Throwing away your weapons in wartime is the last option, not the first. That's all I'm saying, fam. If we at a war with America at large for our justice claim, for freedom, for equity, for parity, for restitution, then you take every opportunity to develop every weapon that you can get your hands on. You don't just leave them there on the ground for somebody else to come along and modify so that they can point it at you. That's all I'm saying. I agree, black man. Bootlicks need to come back and own their bullshit. And we need to drive them to that. Not cancel them. We need to be trying to bring the motherfuckers back into the fold. My humble opinion. Fam, I want to thank everybody so much. Miss Denny Double C for the super chats, right? For those of you who want to give but can't, I appreciate the thought that you had in your mind to support your brother's work, right? The fact is, fam, is that hope is killing us. When you get rid of hope, you're ready for some damn action. And action is what's going to save us, not hope. Not hope, right? You don't leave weapons lying around. You don't keep hoping that things will get better. You either fight with me, with us to make things better, or you don't. But understand, if you don't, then you must like the status quo in some way, shape, or fashion. Okay? That's all I wanted to say on it, fam. Thank you so much for your time tonight. Thank you so much for the great discussion, all of the callers. Thanks to everybody, right? All of you, whether you agree with me or not, right? Make sure you hit the thumbs, whether it's the like or the hater button. Just let me know where you at, right? If you like what we talk about on this channel, please consider becoming a member of the herd. Subscribe, hit that notification button. You feel me? Right? And fam, like always, I'm going to leave you with wishes of love, peace, prosperity, and power. Real power to our people.